Okay, so towards the start of the year, Nanmu announced that they were making a new Spinosaurus model called Supplanter 2.0. This seems to be a bit of a running theme recently with Nanmu, where they've released a bunch of new remakes of older models, including the Carnotaurus, Giganotosaurus, Vastatosaurus, and also the Mosasaurus. But today we're going to be focusing on the new Spinosaurus that released around about September time, I think. Back end September, maybe early October, I'm not really sure. With the release of the new Spinosaurus, we were given 2 new models and new colour scheme. But in this video, we're only going to go in depth in the 2 new models, as I don't actually have the other colour scheme yet. With all that out of the way, let's get into the first model. Okay, so if we take a look at the base of the model first, you can see that they've put an incredible amount of detail into it with the like the dirt, the rocks, the browns and everything. It's brilliant detail from the artists, really. You can see there's a lot of like plane debris on the base, which again adds character. That's the thing about Nanmu that's amazing, is that their bases are always really well detailed alongside the models. All in all, this base is pretty damn good. It's definitely one of my favourite bases when it comes to these models. Okay, so moving up the model now, we have the feet and the legs. There's a lot of like reds, pinks and whites and greys as well. Like, I gotta be fair, the colour palette that they've used with this model is perfect. Moving up the body again, we've got the body paint, like the stripes. We've got a big white stripe going down the body, very similar to how it was in Jurassic Park 3. Like, on our topic of Jurassic Park 3, they've matched this up absolutely perfectly to the dinosaur in Jurassic Park 3. It matches up very, very nicely. Moving on to the head then, we have the very bright green eyes, just like it has with the original model, and also with the dinosaur in the film. The main difference with this model and the original Supplanter model is that this jaw isn't articulated, meaning it's in one solid position, which has turned a lot of people away from this model, but it hasn't turned me away because it has a perfect position. I personally think it would have ruined the model if it was articulated. It just wouldn't have suited it as good as it had if it wasn't. Another little detail I've noticed with this model is if you take a look at the on the side of the mouth, I'm not really sure what to call this skin flap here, but you can see it's quite glossy, showing like off saliva and stuff, adding a bit more character again to the model, making it a lot more realistic. I like those little details that they've been throwing in recently. It adds a lot to the character. All in all, this model is really, really good. The position that it is, the pose, the paint job, everything about it is just perfect. We couldn't really have asked for a better Spinosaurus model, I don't think. This and the Dragon Soul variant, in my opinion, some of the best work that Nanmu has brought out recently, and I think it'll take quite a lot for them to beat this. The Dragon Soul base and the regular base are pretty similar in that they both display a rocky terrain with like brown dirt, we got black colouring, grey, small boulders all around the place. The most notable difference is that there isn't a smashed plane in this base. It's actually been replaced with a Tyrannosaurus skeleton, in obvious reference to the fight in Jurassic Park 3. I'm gonna be honest, I personally prefer this base, mainly because it's a slightly bigger, and also I think it looks a bit more realistic than the plane. I don't know what it is about it, but this one looks a little bit better to me. What do you think? Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. Do you prefer the Dragon Soul base or the regular base? Moving on to the feet and the legs, there isn't a huge difference between this model and the previous one. Mainly because it is the same dinosaur and just in a different position. It's still got the same colour palette with like grey, black and pink and sort of like a violet-ish colour towards the feet. I still stand by what I said earlier, it is a great colour palette and it suits the dinosaur very well. The same goes for the body actually, in that it's almost identical to the previous model with a giant white stripe going down the body and down the leg. I personally find that the sail is a little bit more dustier in a way. I don't know if that's the right word to describe it, but I personally think this that suits the model a bit better. In my opinion, makes it a bit more realistic. I personally don't like the glossy look on some of these models. Like with some of the original screenshots Nanmu have posted on their Instagram, they've depicted this model with a lot of gloss, and that's kind of what I don't like on the models. But with the final product here, you can see that it's not that glossy, and yeah, I just prefer it without all the gloss, to be honest. Moving on to the head, this is probably the biggest difference besides the overall pose. Again, the jaw is not articulated, meaning you can't move the jaw. Alongside the tongue, you can see there's a bit of gloss, which I know I contradicting to what I just said. It works by here, as you can see the saliva and stuff makes it look a bit more realistic. The difference between this model and the previous one is that this has the mouth closed instead of the mouth wide open. I personally find that the overall pose of this model is a little bit better than the previous one. I can't really put my finger on it, but I think it's just personal preference, but I prefer this one to the previous one. Not to say that the other one's bad, but I do personally prefer this one. Okay, so those are the two new Spinosaurus models from Nanmu. We had the Supplanter 2.0 and the Dragon Soul version. Which out of the two models is your favourite? Let me know down in the comments. I also mentioned at the start of the video that there was an alternate colour variant for one of the models, and I'll quickly just show you that now. Like I said, I don't actually have this version, so I can't show you in depth. But yeah, as you can see, this is an albino or albino version of the Supplanter 2.0 model. Sorry I can't really show it off too well. I don't actually have any video of the model, so this is all I have at the minute. To turn off the video, I just want to show you a slideshow of a bunch of different pictures that people have taken of these two new models. Credit will be given, of course, in the video and also in the description below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.